An old steam pond launch in poor condition. Part 4. Repairing the steam tap, changing the 10BA nuts and bolts, making a superheater coil and fitting the exhaust pipe. Plus, I show how to cut a glass tube for the water gauge. This is a steam tap in its original state. And if you look at the bottom part of the tap where it meets the bush, you can see how badly damaged the hexagon part is. So I machined this away and re-silver soldered a new one on. And now it looks a good bit better, and you can't really tell it's been repaired. So over now to more 10BA bolt fixings. I removed the 10BA nuts from all the bolts around this top part of the boiler, because I wasn't happy with the appearance of the screw heads. As I mentioned in the last episode, I am thinking about riveting this, well, for at least a few milliseconds anyway. But the more I looked at it from the inside, the more I realised how risky it would be to rivet this. The problem is the bottom part, the part that fits onto the boiler. It's made from very thin copper. It took me quite a long time to taper the internal part of the main tube, and this was an attempt to give the tube a better purchase on the very thin flange that it's mounted to. So I had to go for plan B really. It's the safest method, and I think it's going to look okay. So to make the job easier, I used the full length 10BA bolts, put them through one at a time and chopped off the thread. And now I'm using the little drum sander to clean off the threads so that they're not sharp and they're all the same distance from the nut. And I think it looks okay, very steam engine like. So I won't just sit here looking at it, I'll remove the tap and carry on with the job. And the next job in question is to fit a superheater coil. The superheater coil is going to fit partly in the vertical column and partly just underneath the base. So what I need to do first is measure the distance between the two bushes. And then I need to find a suitable mandrel, I've found one, an old flywheel, to allow me to bend the 3/16 copper pipe around it. And this copper tubing has to fit between the two bushes on the boiler, which of course now it does. The next part of the job is to temporarily fit the superheater coil in place with the two ends of the copper piping protruding from the two holes in the vertical column. And here it is. I haven't shown the silver soldering process, I've done lots of videos about that. With the superheater coil in place and the fittings protruding from the central column, the first thing to do is to make the whole thing rigid. So what I'm doing here is just fitting some temporary nuts on the end of the fittings. And now the superheater coil is quite rigid, I can manipulate it and bend it to the correct shape. The original exhaust pipe just poked up the chimney like this. It wasn't held in place. Obviously it was at the engine end, but not at the chimney end. But really it's only 3/16 pipe, and for an engine of this cylinder bore and stroke, I think that 3/16 pipe for an exhaust is a bit on the small side. So I've very carefully drilled a 3/8 of an inch diameter hole in the central column. And through this hole I can mount a suitable steam union, which is 3/8 by 32 threads per inch. Then I bent a piece of 1/4 inch pipe and silver soldered it to the fitting after drilling out the fitting to take the diameter of the 1/4 inch pipe. And then a simple nut that I made on the lathe, and the whole thing is quite solid. This is the final link in the chain of the exhaust. The engine's exhaust will first of all go through a condenser oil trap, and this will catch all the oil droplets which otherwise would find their way onto the surface of the lake, which looks very pretty, but it's not very good for the wildlife. Anyone sailing a model steamboat must have a condenser oil trap fitted. So I'm manipulating this coil, that means carefully bending it without breaking anything. I don't want the coils bunched tightly together, I need a good surface area for the heat of the fire to make the steam really hot. So the wet steam comes out of this tap and it goes into the superheater, and then from the superheater to the engine. This clip shows me fitting a union nut to the steam engine. And from this exhaust outlet, it will go to the condenser oil trap and then up the pipe that you just seen me fit. The condenser oil trap will be somewhere near the engine, and it's going to be quite a tight fit. The exhaust condenser can't be too far away from the engine, otherwise the steam will cool too much, and then the condenser will fill up with water too frequently. For this episode, that's about it for the mechanics, and now it's painting time. This is some paint that I frequently use for painting firebox areas, parts of a steam engine boiler that get a little hotter than usual. It's a bit gloopy to paint on, but it tends to level off by the time it's dried. There's not a lot I can say about this, I'm just going to shut up. I could talk about Barco spanners, but I think I've exhausted that for the moment. This length of water gauge glass is 3/16 of an inch in diameter to suit the fittings, and as you can see it's far too long. What I'm about to do is show you how to fit a water gauge glass, but I'm not fitting it permanently, I will be taking it off almost immediately once it's done. The first thing you have to do, and you must get this right, you need to align the two parts of the water gauge fitting so that the glass fits accurately. If the fittings are not aligned and the glass is crooked, when you tighten up the nuts, you're more than likely going to crack the glass, and if you don't crack it at that time, the gauge glass will probably crack when the boiler's in steam. And then getting a face full of broken glass followed by water followed by scalding steam is not really my idea of a fun day out. I marked the length of glass that are required, and now I'm using the edge of a needle file, in this case one of the sharp edges of a square needle file. I'm going all the way around the glass and scoring it. There are other ways of doing it, and I'm sure all the experts will let me know, but I do it this way, and it seems to break quite cleanly. Health and safety warning, you should really wear PPE when doing this, personal protective equipment, in the way of something to protect your eyes. When I fit the glass, it's not the right size. That's because purposely I cut it too long, to illustrate a very common problem that beginners have with fitting water gauge glasses. If you look, the top of the glass, when it's in position, covers the hole through into the boiler. Also in this particular instance, the piece of glass is left far too long. Not only is it obscuring the hole into the boiler, if I was to replace the top plug with the glass this length, the plug would shatter the glass anyway. So I've remarked the piece of glass, and I'm doing the same again with the edge of this square file. You don't really need to score the glass all the way around. I do, because sometimes if I don't do that, the glass breaks unevenly. So anyway, once it's scored, you have to break off the end. But now, of course, there is insufficient length of the glass to grip with your fingers to break it off. So I know, why not use a Barco spanner? This is not a good idea, watch. Wonderful. I suppose you could put it in like that, but it's not a good idea. The moral of the story is measure twice and cut once. Now you can clearly see the gauge glass fits perfectly, and you can see the hole through into the boiler. The main reason for not wanting a jagged edge on the piece of glass is because you have to do this. I'm putting an O-ring on the piece of glass, and if the edge of the glass was very sharp and pointy and jagged, then I could bleed profusely onto the bench. But it's probably best to avoid that. With the O-ring now on the piece of glass, I can put the nut on. And now put another nut on underneath, and put another O-ring underneath the glass, push the whole assembly down, and then tighten up the bottom nut. As I said at the beginning of this section, this is not a proper fitting, it's just a dummy run to show how to do it. The good thing, of course, is that now I have a ready-made water gauge glass which can be fitted without trimming once I put the gauge in place permanently. The first thing I would have to do, though, is make sure the alignment was perfect. Here I'm rotating the bottom fitting to check the general alignment of the boiler bushes. In many cases on homemade boilers and some proprietary ones, I've seen instances when the boiler bushes are not in line on the water gauge. So when you try and fit the water gauge, it's impossible to get the glass down the centre, and of course parallel with the boiler. Because silver soldering is a very hot process, all of the boiler parts do move around somewhat during the silver soldering process. This clip shows me doing a test fit of the top nut with quite a thick copper washer. Too thick in fact, so I took it off again and used the thinner one, which was much better. Now I know that the water gauge is going to be okay, it's time to completely disassemble it and put it back in the box. And that is it for this episode. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.